Ballot designation, hugely important. Most voters do not take the time to study their ballot in advance of going to their polling location. I know that sounds awful. There are people that vote by gender, they vote by ethnicity, and they vote by what your ballot designation is. So I really encourage you all to spend a lot of time and be very thoughtful about those 3 words. And there are certain words that really do, if you were to take a poll, they poll higher in terms of likability. And in fact, what he mentioned was anything that has to do with public safety or education. You're a professor, you're an educator, is gonna be a higher likability factor for the voter. So really spend a lot of time on that in advance of what you put down. Second thing is qualifying for the ballot. Some people do not know if they're registered. They do not know district boundaries, so they want to be polite and they sign in good faith that they believe that they're in your district, but their signatures don't qualify. So ballot designation and making sure that you collect your signatures, and like he said, if you need 20, go for 50, because a lot of them will be just disqualified. And do it early. I mean, all of this stuff, laying the groundwork for your campaign, get it done early so that you're teed up and ready to go and be a candidate and not worrying about setting this all up. You've opened up a campaign, a committee, okay? You gotta file that, you got a committee. Then you're gonna start accepting checks. You have to be protected. You have to make sure that every amount of money, every check that you're taking, you're in compliance. In order to make sure that you are following all those rules, you need a professional treasurer. Not your uncle, your best friend's brother. They're all accountants, they're CPAs, that's wonderful. It's very, very different being a political treasurer. There are rules and regulations. There are filing deadlines that your reports, your fundraising reports have to be submitted on. You do not want to get caught with accepting money that you shouldn't have been accepting, with family members and everybody want to help you. So they might give you over the limit. You're going to get fined for that. You're going to get written up for that. Just set yourself up in the beginning with a professional treasurer that he or she knows what they're doing. You're going to have to pay a little money for that, but in the long run, it's a great investment because it's going to keep you out of trouble and you won't have to worry about that. You assemble these key people that they sit down and they make a fundraising plan for you. And a fundraising plan is going to really require a lot of homework on your time. It's you sitting down and spending the time to go through all of your contacts, and you write next to that person's name, mom, dad, get through all your family, what you believe they are able to give, willing to give. Just jot down a number next to that. From the gas station attendant where you go and get your gas every week, whether or not he or she'll give you 20 bucks, all the way to, and that finance committee has got to be people, as I said, who know how to ask for money and have the networks to go out and ask the money on your behalf. They become your surrogates to help you fundraise. Those are 2 very, very important people on your team, your treasurer, and whether it's your fundraiser or your finance committee. The next most important person that you want to bring on to your campaign is your day-to-day campaign manager. I'm going to get to the consultant in a minute. The campaign manager is the person who is going to allow you to be a successful candidate, and they're going to handle everything about assembling the campaign. The budget, you have to have a budget to run a campaign. Okay, you can't just say, well, we'll spend this on lawn signs and on banners and on a campaign. No, you can't do that. You have to have a budget and you have to know exactly where every dollar is going. Campaign manager has got to be responsible for that. Campaign manager is responsible for hiring the rest of the staff. A lot of candidates get themselves into trouble because they get into the weeds a little too much about their campaign because they're either first-time candidates or because they really do care. And that's not a bad thing. It's just that every moment that you are spending time on that, you are not out knocking on doors, running your field operation, or asking for money. And that's your job as a candidate. The consultant is the person who is going to have the overarching strategy for getting you elected. This person is going to take a look at your district, and I'm sure you all know, you're all running what Political Data Inc. is, PDI, you've heard that phrase. That is a database that has every single voter and their information. And you can't run a campaign without it, okay? So you're gonna have to spend some money to get access to your PDI. Your consultant is gonna be a numbers person who's gonna take a look at your district and say, for example, let's just say, they're gonna take a look at your district and they're gonna say, all right, there's X amount of Democrats in this district. Of those Democrats, there's X amount of women or men in this district. And they're gonna start to break it down and they're gonna start to figure out where your base is. And if you happen to be a woman and you think that you're gonna court that woman's vote, they're gonna break that down even further. If you're a man, you know, they're gonna break that down. They're gonna really drill down on those numbers. It's very, very strategic. And they're gonna come up with what your base is. Whether it's, you gotta go after these 5,000 voters or these 50,000 voters, that's who you're gonna go after. Those are the people who are gonna receive your mail. Those are the people who you're gonna knock on their doors and ask for their vote. So it's a strategic plan. It's not like you just willy-nilly go out there, well, I'm just gonna go walk my neighborhood. No, you're not just gonna go walk your neighborhood because that's just a waste of your time. You have to knock on doors, first of all, of people who are gonna be high propensity voters. It's a waste of your time to knock on people's doors who haven't voted in the last 5 elections, okay? You gotta maximize your time, you gotta use your time wisely, you gotta be smart about it. So having a consultant who can come in and really put together your strategy, whether you can keep that person on board for the length of your campaign, maybe you don't have the resources to do that, that's fine. But having someone come on board and talk to you about how are you gonna win? You're a great candidate, your bio is great, you've got access to raising money, you've got all the pieces, but how are you gonna win? Somebody's gotta tell you how you're gonna win. And unless you yourself are a strategist and you know how to do that, putting some resources into putting together a really excellent plan about how you're gonna win is crucial. So that's the overall pieces. You know, you've got your treasurer, you've got your fundraiser, you've got your strategist, and you've got your day-to-day campaign manager. These are essential roles in building a campaign. And I know, you know, running for school board or running for county supervisor or all the way up to state senate, they're all gonna look different, but they all have the same infrastructure. There's certain pieces that you all have to have. And being wise about it, I've been on campaigns where sadly, the candidate or the candidate's advisors didn't spend enough time up front putting together this solid team, and so you have chaos. And you have people not doing what they're supposed to be doing, you have people on board that don't have the skill set to be doing what they're supposed to be doing, and it just sucks time from the candidate. I am all about maximizing my candidates when I'm on a campaign, their energy, them staying positive, and them doing what they need to be doing. Raising money and talking to voters. Okay, I cannot stress that enough. Important is none of you in this room just woke up today and said, I'm gonna run for office. You've been thinking about it, pondering it, and I really, really hope you've been building a network of people who are gonna support you. It's very hard to just wake up and say, I'm gonna run for office, and then try and go out and meet every group in your community, every person in your community. That groundwork needs to be done way, way before you decide to run for office. Get involved in your Democratic clubs or whatever party affiliation you are. Get involved in the clubs. I don't say you have to be a complete party person, but you have to be familiar with who the key players are. Get involved in women's groups. If you're a woman, get involved in men's groups. If you're a man, but lay that groundwork now. Your districts are too large and there's too many people for you to communicate with to just start right when you're deciding to run for office. You need to be laying that groundwork in advance.